During my second trip to Guatemala, I toured the ruins of the ancient Mayan city of Tikal in the eastern and most humid region of the country. This trip was exciting for the fact that I would fly in a small 20-passenger turboprop at about 10,000 to 12,000 feet, all the way to the island of Flores where my guide would pick me up. This trip got even more exciting on the return home when we flew through thunderstorms and lightning. Tikal was discovered by a gum sapper working in the Petén region of the country in the mid-19th century. Soon, newspapers picked up the story, and both looters and archaeologists descended upon the area. Its buildings date back to the 4th century BC, but it reached its zenith of power during the Mayan Classic period between 200 and 900 AD, when Europe saw both the rise and fall of the Roman Empire. It was a powerful trading state, and when the Spaniards arrived in 1524, they were escorted to guest quarters and greeted with food, dance, and music. Most recently, Temple 4 was featured in the movie Star Wars Episode 4, taking the role of the Rebel Alliance outpost on Yavin 4.
The acoustic is really impressive. Percent of the temple.
Okay.
Lago Atitlan, Guatemala's largest lake, is a day trip from Antigua. It is the caldera of a dormant volcano that is filled with water from Guatemala's copious rainfall. It too is surrounded with cones of volcanoes. Panajachel is a touristy town on its northern shore full of expats and is the destination for most tourists seeking boats to other towns along its shore. Across the lake from Panajachel are the villages of San Juan and San Pedro, which feature hiking opportunities and highlights the native crafts and paintings of its indigenous population, known as the Sutujil.
Una bufanda, a una bufanda le tenemos que dar 110 vueltas.
Further along the shore is Santiago de Atitlan with its 16th century church and a history that reflects both the tragic circumstances of Guatemala and the resilience of its people. During the worst of the Guatemalan Civil War, 235 of its citizens were murdered or disappeared by the government that set up a military base above the town. An American priest named Stanley Francis Souther, known as Padre Aplas to his parishioners, was shot and killed by the government extralegal forces as punishment for resisting the government's oppression. When Padre Aplas's body was being prepared for its return to his home state of Oklahoma, the people of Santiago requested that his heart remain with them, and it was sepulchered in a lovely monument that has a place of honor in the sanctuary and can be seen to this day. A highlight of my trip was meeting Magdalena, a widow whose husband and 4 sons were victims of the violence. She supports herself by demonstrating how to wear the traditional tocoyal for tips from tourists. Most days, but particularly every Sunday, Guatemalans, indigenous groups, and tourists flock to the great market of Chichicastenango. The streets around its central church are packed with booths selling everything from touristy gigas, fresh fruit, live chickens, and sets of silverware. There is nowhere more colorful in all of Guatemala than Market Day in Chichicastenango.
Gracias, señora.
Guatemala's mix of pagan and Christian traditions are very apparent throughout the country, but no more so than in the church and cemetery found in the middle of the throngs of people. On Sunday morning, the priests say a mass, but in the afternoon, the church is open to shamans who light candles, recite incantations, and consume aguardiente, an alcoholic beverage, on stone altars in the corridor of the nave of the church. In the brightly colored cemetery, shamans perform purifying rituals using the same materials to cure diseases. If you like the idea of a hot shower under a natural waterfall, seeing decorated kites some 30 feet in diameter, or climbing up the side of an active volcano, then continue with episode 3, where we will visit the Rio Dulce region, visit Zumpango on All Saints Day, and huff and puff our way up the Volcan Pacaya to cook marshmallows over some hot rocks.